Hello, I'm Pastor Dave, and here's a 3-minute recap of yesterday's sermon. Here we go. This week we looked at the first steps of discipleship, which I describe as crawling to the Father. This is part of the idea of new birth, but this goes beyond the traditional understanding and theology of the new birth, but more the practical side of what does it look like when we're born again, get that new birth. And really, what we're looking at is those first steps of discipleship. Because when one comes to Christ, they take the first steps of faith toward God. In discipleship, this is very similar to a growing child. But at the same time, it's a little different. Because regardless of age, disciples are tasked with raising new disciples in the faith. Age really does not have a role in this, short of the type of material one would use. But the growth and development is still there. And this is something we have to think about, not just for our children, but also for anyone who comes in who never heard the gospel before or who has been away for a while. And part of that is being realistic about our expectations of them. We cannot expect someone new to the faith to be as strong or as faithful as someone who's been living as a disciple for years or decades. Many times that's one of the great faults of the church is the expectation of perfection on someone, or at least the perceived expectation to be without fault, to be perfect already, instead of realizing people need the space to grow and to learn. It's just like starting a new job. On that first day, and for a while afterwards, you're trying to figure out how to do it. You're not going to be perfect. And it's different than someone who's been doing the job for 30 years. And all of that kind of is emblematic of the crawling. You got to figure out how to move. You have to figure out how to do this. And it really is like a child. Just as it can take a while for a child to go from crawling to walking, it can take time to truly become a disciple. It can take time, it takes effort, and we have to drop the expectations of walking immediately. We celebrate every step in a baby's development. It's the same in discipleship. But this also reminds us of some other things. And one is our dependence on God. We cannot save ourselves, and humbly we must accept God. That's the other side of the crawling. It's the sign of our humility. A reminder that we are dependent on God, who sent his Son to die for our sins and defeated death through the resurrection. Through all of that, that's where our hope lies. That is where our salvation rests. So as we start that process from crawling to walking to ultimately running, we need to understand that it takes time to develop as we seek to grow in faith. So that's your recap for this week. A reminder that we worship at 8:45 at East Salem, 10:15 at Otterbein. We live stream the East Salem service at 10:15 on the East Salem UMC Facebook page. And this is VBS week. You can still come out for the children at 6 o'clock tonight at East Salem. But until next Sunday, I'm Pastor Dave, and I hope to see you in the pews.